So we're going to take the box out today and rebuild it, which pretty much means I'm just going to take all these random screws out. We're going to put a new top on it and pretty it up. You'll see in the video. So first of all, this is my garage. So I've got a double garage, but it's double long, and it's not the easiest thing to work in. Plus it makes a lot of mess if you try and work inside of it. So I got myself a gazebo out here. This is waterproof as well, and I can actually get it pretty much underneath the house, as you can see where the gutter is, which is great, and it was like 90 bucks. So as I said, what we're going to do is replace this top, mainly because of this. Don't ask me how or why that's happened, but whoever had this or built this box decided to cut those notches out. And as I said, we're actually going to move the subs forward a little so that the port is not like that, and we're going to put a sub, like a terminal in it, so the actual wiring comes out the back instead of out of the port. Just, you know, the normal things that you would do. And then we're actually going to trim it as well. So we're taking off the top of the box. I tried to get it with a chisel and just kind of bend it up, but it is actually glued on properly. I have taken all the screws out. So the way I've done this before, I'll go around all the edges and I cut it with a knife. So just went around the edges closely, and as you can see, just with a blade, which just puts a dent in it. And then we've just got literally a metal ruler, and I just hold it with one hand, which is going to be hard to do while filming, and I just literally tap it along with a hammer. That's a dead blow hammer, so it's kind of rubber on the edges, so it's not going to chip the shit out of my ruler, but I can literally just sit it there, and as you can see, it's already lifting it straight off. So I hold the ruler straight, just tap it along, and as she goes, it's literally just splitting it apart without damaging what's underneath that I'm keeping. As you can see, it's just a real simple slot ported box. Now I might pull the port out, not sure on that one, and redo that. I am going to measure up what's here and work out actually what it's exactly tuned to. Apparently it was around 33-34 hertz, which is close to what I would have done anyway. The internal chamber there, not including the port, is 1.85 cubic feet. Taking off woofer displacement, because I know what that is, it's 0.14. We're pretty much 1.7 cubic feet per chamber. Now, as the length of the port is right now, it's tuned at 36 hertz. Doing it properly, that's through just the 12volt.com. If you're trying to tune ports, just look at the slot port calculator. So right now it's tuned at 36. Now ideally, the SA-12 FS is 34 hertz. So ideally I would tune just a tad lower, especially because in my car I seem to get a bit of box rise. It always seems to go up. So ideally I would tune around 32 or something in my car. Now to do 32 hertz, though, the port has to be another foot longer, which eats into a lot of my box space. Now if I was to tune a little bit lower down to 34, I only have to add about 5 inches of port length. So I'm going to be able to add 1 inch on the front. I'm going to do like a outside template on the front that'll kind of bring the port out. You'll see what I mean. And then I only have to add another 4 on the inside, which is pretty simple because it's only that much. So I just add a piece of wood there in the inside. Alrighty, got it all cleaned up, as you can see. So now we've just got to cut 2 baffles for the top. So I'm going to do a double baffle on top now, just so I can sink the sub in. Looks a little nicer. And then I'm also going to do, as I said, about 4 inches, 10 centimeters more of port length. So we're just going to tune it a little bit lower. Okay, so we've added in our longer bits for the port. They're glued and nailed in. Not much else I could do. I couldn't get any screws in, obviously. I'd have to rip the whole thing apart to do that. But they're in. Now what I'm going to do now on the outside of the box is I'm going to fill all the holes, because I will be trimming this. And that's all just tacked on there temporarily. So I got my top baffle, my actual baffle that the subs are mounted to. I filled in all the holes and all the screw holes that were in the box that were there before. So it's all nice and clean now. Sticking to tradition, whenever I do a new build, I like to buy a new tool. So this time I've changed my router up. This is a Makita router, which is also a laminate trimmer and a plunge router in one. Now what I've done is every tool I own is actually Milwaukee. So this is just a little adapter I bought, and then I actually just use my Milwaukee battery to power the Makita. Otherwise I was going to have to buy all Makita gear. So anyway, I've cut 1, 2, 3 circles out. just doing the last circle, which is in the bottom panel, and just attached to the same Jasper routed jig that I always had. But yeah, just traded. Literally didn't really cost me any more to trade up, and I just swapped the DeWalt with one of the guys at work actually and bought this one new. But no cords, so I can do as many circles as I want without getting all tangled up. I could have moved them forward more, but cosmetically it was going to start looking really gay if it was like all the way at the front and then this big gap at the back, so kind of wanted to still make it look half decent. Anyway, that's all good. I can always just save the little notch off there. Anyway, that's what we got left, and so now that just needs to be attached to that, and then these two will be actually trimmed separately. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around here with a rabbit bit and just the whole edge about 5mm in, 1/4 of an inch. I'm also going to go down about 3mm, so 1/8 of an inch, the whole way around, and that's going to leave enough room for my material, so when I wrap, I can wrap and trim to here. Alright, so that's all my holes pre-drilled into the top of the box, so it's not glued on yet, but they're all pre-drilled down in through the wood, and I've flushed all the holes so the screw will sit in them flat, and I went around the edge. I flushed the holes first, and then I went around the edge, and as you can see, I've taken off like not even, probably 2mm. We've got our flush baffle and our mounting baffle. Easy as that. Looks a lot nicer and more quality already, and all I've done is that. Changed the port a little. Getting pretty close to finished, but we are running out of daylight. So what I've done here is, this is the porthole, this is a template of that. I probably will use this piece for my port additional piece that'll go on the front, but I've made that template now. So now that that's finished, the box can be painted, so I can now paint the inside of the box black. Alright, just drilled 4 holes in the front of that one there, and that's actually how I'm going to mount that one with some like bolts, so it'll look kind of tough on the front. I've just transferred those 4 to there. These will have to be drilled out bigger, probably I think it's a 9 or a 10mm to mount the threaded inserts. I don't have my thread inserts on me though, but I've pre-drilled the holes so it all lines up. Alright, still had some primer filler left over from actually when I painted the Corona, so I've actually just used that as a primer in here because it's really thick, and with MDF absorbs paint. So if the primer filler though, on the other hand, it doesn't seem to absorb too bad, and you actually get a half decent base coat down. So just a tip on painting MDF, the primer fillers are a good primer to put down, not a standard primer. Alright, so these are the nut inserts that I'll be putting in the front of the box, 2 and 2, which will be in there for now. I won't actually use them right now. I'll trim it first obviously and all that, and then when I add the front port piece, they'll be ready to screw into. And then 2 coats of black now, and it's looking pretty good. I think I'll just do 1/3 coat, and then I'm going to pull the tape off, and then the box is ready to be trimmed. I've done a nice 45, as you see, all around the edge, a little 45 on the actual sub-hole edge. We've added in the 4 nuts, threads, as you can see, for when I bolt on a front panel. Pulled the tape off. Actually, that kind of, obviously you can see where the tape was, gives a rough idea of actually what I'm going to be putting on the front as well. So I'm just going to be building the port out a bit with a piece like that, just to give it a bit more shape. This is the material I'll be trimming the top panel with, and materials like this can be quite challenging to trim with because there's no stretch in them because of this backing. As you can see how it separates from the backing. Now what I'm going to do is pull the whole backing off, because I don't need to use this backing. As long as I use just a can spray glue, it won't go through the material by itself, and then we're going to get a little bit of stretch out of the material, plus being a bit thinner it'll be easy to trim with. Alright, so we've got the top part trimmed. The floor is clean. I did sweep it before I did this, but as you can see, you can just, like any kind of suede or whatever it is, I'm not sure what material it is, I bought it because I like the look of it. Anyway, as you can see, that's all nice and smooth. It's not easy to get smooth because I've been pushing in the circles as I go, so it's going to make life easier when I trim the circle, so it is a bit harder to get it flat. Alright, a good hour later, I kid you not, we finally have the top trimmed, and it actually looks really nice. So that sub's just sitting in there, but that look on it, I As you can see, the little 45 that I did meets the top of the sub perfectly, and obviously you can wipe it either way. I'll brush it all one way later, but that looks really nice. Really luxury looking almost, so that's cool. Happy with that. Obviously the other sub goes in there. I'm just not going to bother putting them both in now. And this will be easy to trim. This will take me 20 minutes in black carpet versus that took over an hour to trim.